So I was trying to find a pair of airships at a reasonable price that was like an OG colorway, and this is probably the closest thing. So I'm trying to review all the different Jordans and this from 1 to 14 and trying to get the OG versions. And so this is the first pair that Michael Jordan wore from Nike, and this is obviously not the OG pair, much unlike the other sort of 1 to 14 pairs that I've got. They're all sort of OG colorways. However, this one is probably the closest thing in my opinion, and it's the Airship every game, and it's a diffused blue colorway. And what I like about this particular pair is it's quite similar to a Jordan 1, so in that sense it's quite sort of really sort of wearable. And like I said, it was the first sneaker that Michael Jordan wore as part of his Nike sponsorship or brand partnership. And the signification of this shoe, it kind of leads into sort of the Jordan 1, I guess, and it uses the same outsole and midsole as the Jordan 1, and it has like the Air Tech in there as well. So this is like the very first pair that was worn, and I'm sure like the feedback that was given from Michael Jordan when he wore them in, for basketball, sort of went into the Jordan 1. So this is kind of probably where it all sort of started really. And it's just a cool trainer, in my opinion. It's not like as nice as a Jordan 1, and I wouldn't say, like, for me, I'll choose a Jordan 1 silhouette over this one. And I think because Jordan 1 is slightly more complex in terms of its shape and leather panels, so you can probably do a lot more with it, and they do have loads of sort of different colorways and color blockings. Whilst with this pair, it's more of a sort of simplistic, almost an answer to the Converse trainers at that time. And so for me, it's a cool shoe, and I won't say it's one of my top ones, but I like the fact that it feels like a Jordan 1 on foot. So for that, in that reason, I'm fine with it, and I can wear it, and especially as an adult, like for me, it's one of those trainers that I can rock pretty much anytime. So it's got a cool sort of history behind it. So it's nice to sort of have this version finally, and reading about it probably like 10-15 years ago, and then having the pair now is really cool. Yeah, that started Michael Jordan's legacy, I suppose, and obviously the airships just came before that. But for me, this is really just an iconic shoe. It's not designed by Tinker Hatfield; it was designed by Peter Moore. But I think over time, it's just grown to be a really cool and iconic sneaker. And there's a few reasons I think for that. And firstly, like I was trying to, I'll prefer to have just the original Chicago version of these, but I'll make do with the Lost and Founds, which aren't bad, and I actually really like these. But if I'm honest, I would have preferred just a standard Chicago release. And this varsity red color is obviously an iconic classic colorway because it's the Chicago Bulls colors. And what I like about this particular trainer is the fact that it's just so iconic, really. And with a Jordan 1, there's so many things that you can do with it, and it has sort of different color blocking. So whether it's like this version, the Chicago color blocking with that all over red, or the black toe color blocking with the angle collar and the heel being a different color and the rest being in black and white, or then you got other ones where you got like the storm blue version, which has pretty much one sort of monotone color, so all the swoosh and everything is the same color as the rest of the sneaker. And so you get like different color blockings, and it's quite cool that they do that and have different versions. And then also you got like the bread one as well, that off the top of my head that I can remember, and also even the heritage colorway, which is the reverse bread. So it's got a really sort of versatile feel to it. And as a kid, when I was sort of growing up, I only heard about these after the fact, and probably maybe sort of mid 90s, and when I saw them then, I wasn't really that interested in them. And in all honesty, the Jordan 1s didn't really have the hype like a Jordan 3 or a Jordan 4 did, and even to a certain extent Jordan 5. And for me, it's one of those trainers that over time it's just grown to be sort of more of a classic because of the fact that I would say because of the swoosh, and also because of the fact that it's just like I said, it's got versatility in it, so you can sort of wear it with different outfits. Nowadays you can even dress it up smart casual, especially if you wear the low cut versions. and it just works really well, just as a really easy to wear sort of sneaker. I think my only sort of bugbear with these is the comfortability is okay, and it's very sort of standard, sort of on the firm side. And but apart from that, it's just another sort of cool history piece, and just a part of Michael Jordan's legacy, or kicking off his legacy. So the Jordan 2, I wasn't aware of these as a kid, and when I obviously I suppose when I started growing up, and kind of understood what the whole sort of Michael Jordan story, and I think when the internet was first a thing, sort of in the sort of mid to late 90s, that's when I sort of found out about the Jordan and all the different sort of silhouettes, and then I found out more about the Jordan 2. I already knew about the Jordan 1 because that was always around, but the Jordan 2 I didn't know much about, and I saw the trainers then, and if I'm honest, I didn't think much of them, and that's probably in my late teens. And so when I initially picked these up, I wanted to sort of try and get all the OG versions of the first 1 to 14 Jordans, and then I managed to grab these, and I think end of 2022, and I bought them for retail because I thought they'd be quite limited, but not so much, and they're not really going for much on the resale market. But now that I've got them in hand, I don't mind them. I'm wearing another pair that I have at the moment, which is the 218 Jordan 2 lows. And as an adult, I prefer the lows versus the highs. And this is a similar thing to, I suppose, a Jordan 5. It's mainly because this feels really bulky on foot. And I think that's probably what most people's gripes are with this particular pair. It feels nice. It feels quite sort of comfortable. I wouldn't say it's Jordan 3 comfortable, but the midsole feels quite sort of thick and sturdy, and a little bit heavy, and that's where I think it sort of fails. But I think in terms of tech, it's quite similar to a Jordan 3, and and the Jordan 1 as well, I guess. But I just think the thicker midsole, and it's not very forgiving either. It's not very flexible. That's where it sort of falls down. I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable, but it's not as comfortable as a Jordan 3 really. And like I said, in the low cut form, I actually like them because I can wear them as sort of smart casual shoes, and that's kind of originally what they were going for anyway in terms of the influence. So for me, is one of those sneakers that this particular pair I probably wouldn't wear, as for me it's not for me. It's like one of those ones where it's nice to sort of have it and nice to sort of see it and know the history behind it, because I never owned one. But for me, it's always going to be, I would always pick the low cut over these, and this will probably eventually go at some. And then this, I prefer the UNC version over this. So, and that's Jordan 2 low. So for me, it's a nice sneaker, and like I said, the Chicago one is the more comfortable version of it. But it's not something that I would sort of wear now, I guess, apart from being in a low cut. As far as I know, I mean, I was a kid back then, so I don't know fully, but these didn't release back in sort of the late 80s in the UK, as far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But this is the Jordan 3 Retro, and it wasn't sort of highlighted to me until maybe I suppose, mid 90s, and I think I saw them on a film or someone wearing them on TV, and that's when I kind of first introduced them. Maybe it was on Fresh Prince, but for me it was like one of those trainers where I was just like, oh, that looks like a really cool sneaker. And to be honest, I didn't rate them that highly as a Jordan 4 at that time, and for me it was like, oh cool, like so another Jordan sneaker. But it wasn't like, I'm going to go out and buy these. And they did retro a few times, and I never ever picked them up. And then I picked up this, OG version, the white cement, and I've also got the fire red version as well. So what I like about these is they're kind of easily sort of wearable, and I've talked to quite about a few of them and reviewed quite a few now. And I just find them easy to wear. You can dress them up sort of smart casual and casual as well. And as an adult, I appreciate them a lot more now than I probably would as a kid. I think as a kid, I probably would have sort of passed over these, and they weren't really popping in the UK. I think the Jordan 4s are the ones that sort of popped. And with this particular pair, I find that it's like I said, it's just a really wearable shoe, easy to rock, and just really sort of nice that it's got Nike Air on the back. And even the elephant print, I wasn't a fan of it as a kid, but I appreciate it more as an adult. And when you're sort of, like I said, wearing sort of smart casual clothing, it works really, really well, and I find them super comfortable as well. So, and everyone's got like a different level of what they find comfortable, but for me, this is like one of the best Jordans to wear, sort of day in day out. And another one would be like I suppose a Jordan 7 and the Jordan 14. So, but for that reason, it's a cool sneaker in my adult life, really. So I bought this pair probably like a year and a half ago, and I never had these since they've sort of retroed. And I remember having them as a kid, and so it's a bit of a 360 moment for me. And it's the Air Jordan 4 Fire Red, and this is a pair that I had back in '89, I think. That's when they released, and I just saw them in the shops. Didn't know too much about, well, didn't really know much about Michael Jordan at the time, and just saw the trainers on in the shops, and basically just begged my mum to buy them for me. And at the time we were sort of cash strapped, so we didn't have too much money. So thankfully my mum bought them, and mainly because I was a smaller size. So yeah, so that's why I ended up sort of buying them. And what this sort of means to me in terms of sneakers is it's sort of pretty much, I was into sneakers before that as a kid, but this one was the one that gave me that sort of street cred, I guess, because not a lot of people had these. There's probably a couple other people that I kind of saw at school having a pair, and just being the envy of pretty much everyone. And it's a nice shoe to have now, and especially after all this time. And at the moment I've kept them DS, but I probably will start wearing them because obviously I don't want the outsole to get ruined and the midsole to get ruined and sort of crumble on me. But yeah, it's just a really cool shoe, and another one of those Jordans that for me is a classic. And I don't remember it being sort of so uncomfortable, but maybe as a kid you're a bit more sort of forgiving, and sort of able to sort of rock trainers that are sort of more harder to wear. But I felt that they were really comfortable when I was younger. So unless there's sort of a change in the way they've made these trainers, and whether they've kind of made them slightly cheaper, I don't know. But I do remember them feeling sort of really plush, especially like the insoles. And I kind of like the Nike AirTag. I still have my original one as well, so that's the only thing that survived. But I pretty much ended up beating the original pair that I had up, and the Wings logos. The Wings were sort of literally just hanging off and by loose thread, really. And at one point they just came off completely. Yeah, just a really cool shoe because of the significance from Michael Jordan. And it was when I started playing basketball at school a lot as well, and it was part of our curriculum anyway. But I ended up getting more involved in basketball because that's when I started understanding about Michael Jordan, and the cool player that he was at that time, and just basically got me into basketball a lot more. And I started playing at school and was in the school team. Not brilliant, but still, it was just one of those things that just appreciated, and it's part of my childhood, really. So, and these released back in 1990, and again, I had the Jordan 4s, and I really wanted a pair of these, which is the Jordan 5 and the fire red colour. So I do remember these coming out and seeing them and really wanting them as a kid, but never got a chance to own them until now. And so now that I've got them and been sort of wearing them a few times, I think for me it's like one of those trainers that I was really sort of big on as a kid, because it was a follow-up to the Jordan 4, and also they looked different as well. So compared to sort of other trainers out on the market, this was another one with like the air bubble in there, and mesh netting, and then the Nike Air on the back. It's just one of those sort of cool sneakers that I was really, really wanting as a kid, and just to be like Michael Jordan, I suppose. And what basically never ever got, like I said, a chance to own them, and I wish I did as a kid, because I think I would have appreciated them more. But owning them as an adult, it's not, I suppose, my bag, really. And I can honestly sort of say that after sort of wearing them and having them, and wearing them quite a bit, and I can sort of say that the reason why they're not for me now is just being older. The tongue, I can't sort of work with that, and also the ankle collar is just really thick and paddy, and so for me, it's for that reason I just don't find them that wearable as a trainer. And you have to wear sort of specific clothing with these to make it work. And I'm sure it's fine with like joggers and chinos, but for how I tend to dress and in terms of like how I want to sort of wear clothes, I prefer the Jordan 5 lows over these. So I would prefer not to have the ankle collar and not to have like the big thick tongue, in all honesty. And I think then it becomes more of a wearable shoe for me. And I think in this sort of iteration, it's just literally a basketball shoe, and for me, it doesn't quite sort of fit the bill nowadays. And also, the comfort level wasn't as great as a Jordan 3. It's better than the Jordan 4, but not as good as a Jordan 3. So for that reason, it's not perfect for that kind of wear, really. Jordan 6 Carmine, and I remember getting these seeing these as a kid. So this was after the Jordan 5, and I remember the Jordan 6 being in the shops as well. I do remember seeing these in the UK, and to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of them when I looked at them first time round, and I have them. Now that I'm older, I have them, and I appreciate them more. I think with all the Tinker Hatfield, some of the designs were sort of hit and miss, I guess, and with sort of age and time and getting used to the silhouette, they look nicer as you get older, I guess, and the more sophisticated as well. And I know this is an iconic pair for Michael Jordan, and basically for me, I really like the look of the trainer, and I'm a bigger sort of 911 Porsche fan anyway. So for me, it's really cool because it's giving that nod to Porsche. But I think for me, it fails in terms of comfort level. So I just find them really harsh on foot, and I don't know where they went from the the Jordan 3, and then the Jordan 4, which wasn't the greatest of comfort levels, and then going to Jordan 5, which is okay, and now the Jordan 6, and this seems to be even worse. So that's from my perspective anyway. So I feel like it's not as nice as I suppose a Jordan 3, which is really weird for me to sort of say that. But it's still a nice shoe, and like I said, it's very iconic because I know Michael Jordan won one of his sort of championships in this particular shoe, so that's why it's sort of iconic. So the Jordan 7 Retro, this is the Cardinal colorway. So this originally came back out I believe, in 92, I think, or 91. And I remember seeing these in the shops, but not being, if I'm honest, not being blown away by them, or thinking I need to grab a pair of these. And I think they kind of came out at the same time as like the Nike Air Huaraches, and I actually preferred those versus these. And that was more the runner type trainer, and obviously they're different types of footwear, but still, it wasn't something that I looked at and I thought, well, I really need to have a pair of these. But now that I've got them in hand, sort of 30 years later, I suppose it's a cool shoe, and I've kind of grown to really like these, and it's probably one of my favorite silhouettes as an older person. Reason being, they're just really sort of comfortable, and because you've got this inner booty, the Jordan 7 just makes it feel really, really comfortable on foot. And I feel like you can also use them even today, like for basketball, especially sort of outdoors, because it's made of an all leather construction, so it won't wear that down that quickly. And I think the traction works really well as well, and I really like the pattern that they've got going on here as well. And it's just another one of those Tinker Hatfield classics, and for me, I've just been more of a fan of it over the last few years, and they've released a bunch, and I've ended up buying a bunch because I got them on discount, and it's one of my favourite silhouettes now. And I prefer to wear this over, say, the 5s and the 6 because of the comfortability, and also I like the way it looks on foot. So yeah, so this is one of my favourites now. So after having a look through time and what these sneakers mean to me, and the significance of them, and basically Michael Jordan being the GOAT as well. And so finally, I thought I'd rank them. I like all the trainers, if to be honest. And I think for me, if I was to sort of rank them, I'd probably go in this kind of order. I think the first one would be the Jordan 1. So that would be like the first silhouette that I would choose over the others. So this would be my first one, the Jordan 1. And then probably second to that, just because of the significance that it meant to me as a kid, I will go with the Jordan 4 because this is an awesome sneaker and just easily sort of wearable, and I think it's quite sort of iconic for Michael Jordan as well. And then after that, I probably would go for the Jordan 3 and the Jordan 3 next. And after that, I will go for what would be my fourth. I think my fourth would be controversial probably for most, but it would probably be the Jordan 7. And then after that, I'd probably go for I think it would be maybe the Airship over the other two. Which one? Because the Jordan 5 meant more to me as a kid. Actually, I'd probably go for the Jordan 6 because of the fact that it was a Porsche. And then I'd probably go for the Airship. And then it would be the Jordan 5, which is probably controversial. And then probably most likely for everyone else as well, it's probably the Jordan 2 that's going to be last. So that's kind of how I'd rank them. So my number one would be Jordan 1, then the Jordan 4, and then I'll go with the Jordan 3 because it's nice and comfortable and easy to wear and wear it smart casual. Jordan 7, just again, comfortable sneaker, and I also like the way it looks on feet, especially when I want to wear a bit more sort of street vibes. And then the Jordan 6, not because it was comfortable, but just the looks of it, and sometimes a sneaker can just look good enough for you to sort of wear it. And then the Airship, just because of its simplicity and also its sort of relation to the Jordan 1, just basically being the same sort of comfort and an easy sneaker to rock. And then the Jordan 5, which had a more of a significance when I was growing up, but I don't think it's aged as well, in my opinion. I think if I was ranking low cuts, this would probably be higher, but as a high, it's not so much for me. It's kind of not great. And then the Chicago 2s. So with this, it's it's not the colorway itself. It's just a trainer. It's a silhouette. It's not for me, I'll choose any one of the other trainers over this. So for me, that's kind of the ranking really, and it's a cool thing, and they're all cool in their own way, and I like the the Tinker Hatfield, but also appreciate what Peter Moore did as well. So I'm thinking he did the Airship as well, but I can't remember. But all in all, they're cool sneakers and just easy to sort of wear and rock, and all look different and unique at the same time.